These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wait.
Karoline Leavitt's shocking revelation caught the host off guard, leaving them scrambling to respond and defend themselves on live air.
Democrats in the media are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. Watch this.
Today, we're breaking down exactly what happened, why Karoline Leavitt's explosive expose has everyone talking, and what it could mean for the show's future. If you've been wondering what triggered this meltdown, buckle up. You're in the right place. The drama is escalating, all thanks to Karoline Leavitt's bold shakeup of the political landscape. Her shocking revelation has sent shockwaves through the media, leaving the host scrambling to regain control.
Out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wait.
The hosts of The View are no strangers to controversy, but this time, they've bitten off more than they can chew. When Karoline Leavitt stepped into the spotlight as Trump's press secretary, Democrats wasted no time launching their attacks. One host even dismissed her credentials, suggesting she was only chosen because, in Trump's eyes, she's a 10. But their smear campaign didn't just fail, it backfired spectacularly. What started as petty jealousy has now spiraled into a full-blown disaster, leaving The View's reputation in tatters. Thanks to Karoline's fearless, no-holds-barred approach, the hosts are scrambling to clean up their own mess. The fallout? Nothing short of epic. Take Joy Behar, for example, a self-proclaimed feminist who constantly preaches about empowering women. Yet, she crossed a line when she reduced Karoline's success to nothing more than her looks. The hypocrisy is glaring. How can someone claim to uplift women while tearing down a young, accomplished female professional in the same breath? But Karoline, in a league of her own, didn't hesitate to call out these so-called progressives. Instead of backing down, she exposed their double standards, leaving them with no choice but to face the consequences of their own rhetoric.
Women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wait.
But wait, if Karoline's a 10, where does that leave Joy? Leave it to Greg Gutfeld from Fox News to drop a savage punchline that had everyone talking. His remarks sent shockwaves through social media, and let's just say, the internet hasn't stopped laughing since.
Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Karoline didn't hold back. She had some sharp words for the Democratic propaganda machine, making it crystal clear. Either ride the Trump wave or be forgotten. Once Trump is done with them, they'll have no Supreme Court distractions, no media spin to keep them relevant. Their so-called influence is on borrowed time. They can either get on board or prepare to lose another election, just like they did on November 5th, judging by the stunned silence on The View. The reality check hit hard. Anyone watching could see the truth. The hosts are just jealous that a younger, sharper, and more deserving person is outshining them. After Joy Behar's crude remarks, Whoopi Goldberg swooped in, desperately trying to spin a new narrative. In full mother hen mode, she scolded Karoline, accusing her of lacking tolerance for weakness. But Americans weren't buying it. The moment exposed The View's hypocrisy yet again, leaving them grasping for control.
She said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Let's be real. Whoopi wasn't preaching wisdom. She was scrambling to control the damage. But Karoline? She wasn't having any of it. In a now viral clip, Whoopi tried to blur the lines between civil rights and wokeness, acting as if they were the same. Karoline saw right through it. With brutal precision, she called out Whoopi's flawed logic, making it clear that she either didn't know the difference or was deliberately misleading her audience. And judging by Whoopi's stunned reaction, she definitely felt that burn.
Women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a...
If Whoopi is such a fierce supporter of women's rights, why didn't she call out Joy Behar for reducing Karoline's success to her looks? Maybe because Whoopi's so-called moral compass only points left. Instead of holding her co-host accountable, she went after Karoline, just for daring to use her first White House press conference to call out the legacy media for losing everyday Americans' trust. Rather than addressing the real issue, Whoopi conveniently pulled the race card, trying to turn it into an identity politics debate. Classic deflection, because when facts aren't on their side, distraction is their only move.
Black people couldn't get into colleges because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to.
But Karoline wasn't done. She took a shot at TheView for spreading baseless accusations, like when they tried to pin an assassination attempt on Elon Musk. She exposed the irony of the hosts constantly demanding accountability while recklessly pushing fake news. Their hypocrisy was on full display, and Karoline didn't let it slide.
Spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
She reminded them that just a few years ago, the media was singing a different tune. Now, desperate to control the narrative, they twist any story to fit their agenda. But Karoline wasn't about to let them get away with it. She called out their hypocrisy and exposed their blatant double standards.
Likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they.
For years, TheView and other legacy media outlets have pushed whatever narrative suited them, silenced opposition, and shaped public opinion without facing any real consequences. But thanks to Karoline Leavitt's bold stance, the era of unchecked propaganda is finally coming to an end. She may be young, but she's wise beyond her years, and unlike some, she actually has access to the president. With her call for accountability, these outlets are being forced to answer for their reporting, and let's be honest, this is their worst nightmare. Without the ability to spin the truth, their entire playbook is crumbling. Karoline just flipped the script on legacy media, and TheView is losing it. She announced a game-changing shakeup in the White House press pool, introducing a new media section designed to hold traditional outlets accountable for their years of biased reporting and misinformation about President Trump. Karoline made it clear, *, we will call you out when we feel your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. For decades, the Associated Press and the White House Correspondents Association controlled the room, dictating who got to ask questions and which narratives were pushed. But not anymore. Karoline made it crystal clear, legacy media won't run the show unchecked. 2 front-row seats, once reserved for White House staff, will now go to new media voices that actually challenge the establishment. And if that wasn't enough to send TheView into a meltdown, Karoline also restored press passes for 440 journalists wrongfully revoked under the Biden administration, ensuring real transparency in the press room once again.
The president doesn't surround himself by anybody smart. And Joy Behar and those guys, of course this was going to happen. This is why conservative women just have to move on, do their thing, and not worry about the criticism from folks like at TheView.
And we are expecting the media to be hot.
While many praised the push for transparency, the View panel had a very different reaction. Sunny Hostin scoffed at the idea of new media reporters attending briefings, acting as if only legacy media elites deserved a seat at the table. Then Whoopi chimed in with her usual condescending attitude, warning that under the new administration, people would just spout stuff. The irony was palpable. For years, mainstream media, including The View, has done exactly that, twisting narratives to fit their agenda. But now that Karoline is holding them accountable, suddenly Whoopi wants to talk about standards. The hypocrisy couldn't be more obvious, and Americans aren't buying it.
Ideas? This word wokeness didn't look like she really understood what it meant, or certainly the way Karoline Leavitt meant it when she made that statement, and she was conflating it with civil rights and how, women didn't have the right to vote or own property and all of that. That has nothing to do with wokeness, which is, of course, about putting people in there because of their immutable characteristics rather than the merit that they bring to the table.
At the end of the day, this isn't about journalism or ethics. It's about control. The hosts of The View thrive on dictating what the public should think, and now that millions of Americans are turning to alternative media sources, they're panicking. For the first time in years, they're losing their grip on the narrative, and they absolutely hate it. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest press secretary in U.S. history, has called out traditional media for losing the trust of the American people. She made it clear, asterisk, we will call you out when we feel your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. Asterisk, and now, The View is feeling the heat. For years, they've spread misinformation and smears without real pushback, but those days are over. Karoline, a history-making press secretary, just put the entire legacy media on notice. Unlike her predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who constantly highlighted her identity, Karoline has proven that leadership isn't about ticking diversity boxes. It's about holding power accountable and speaking for the American people. After failing to take Karoline down with cheap shots, The View tried a classic gotcha question about illegal immigration, hoping to trap her. They thought they had her cornered. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Karoline didn't just handle the question, she flipped it back on them, exposing their hypocrisy and leaving the panel scrambling. The era of unchecked media narratives is ending, and Karoline Leavitt is leading the charge. Karoline flipped the script, reminding them that Trump's America prioritizes law-abiding citizens over those who break the law. Just like that, their entire argument crumbled. But instead of admitting defeat, The View doubled down, clinging to their tired left-wing narrative in a desperate attempt to trap Karoline, only to be outmatched once again. They pretend to care about justice, but let's be real, this wasn't about defending immigrants. It was a failed attempt to trip up a woman too sharp to fall for their tricks. Karoline is enjoying every moment, standing her ground while The View hosts scramble, exposing their own bias and desperation in the process. Karoline isn't just taking on The View, she's taking on the entire legacy media machine. She's exposing their playbook for all to see, and as they scramble to keep up, they're only proving her point. In the end, she dropped the ultimate truth bomb. The View has been so focused on catering to the left that they've completely lost their way, and America is waking up to it. For years, The View and the legacy media have been nothing more than a mouthpiece for the Democratic agenda. But now, with Karoline holding them accountable, they're completely lost. The moment someone challenges them, they crumble. So, what do you think? Are we witnessing the downfall of mainstream media dominance? Or will they find a way to claw their way back into power? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more hard-hitting breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because trust me, this fight is far from over, and we're just getting started.